Welcome to the Creature Cast, the official Console Creatures podcast. I'm your host today, Steve Vigvari. Alongside me, as always, my good pal Bobby. How the heck are you this week?
I'm doing very well, my good friend. It's one day to Friday. I'm pumped to play some video games and talk about them today. So, everything's good.
Everything's good. Daylight savings kicked in. It's still light out by the time we're recording
Fuck
this.
daylight saving. Let's just start with that. Fuck daylight saving.
Fuck daylight saving.
I lost an hour of anything. Picking my nose, I would have loved to have that hour to do it. But for whatever reason, Canada is still doing daylight savings. I don't get it, but
it's true. I'm very upset that we're still doing it, but I'm less upset that now we're back to like normal time. It's, we're recording this at a crisp 5 o'clock in the afternoon and it's still light out. And I really like that. I'll take that. Yeah, no, it's the small victories.
All I ask for is just double-digit weather, like maybe like a 10, 11, and like I could live like that 8, 9, 10 months of the year. Like I'm good.
Absolutely. I mean, like we're even getting a little bit of a tease of that. The weather's been a little better, been able to ditch the winter jacket most days, but then of course, fake spring as always. We're gonna get hit by snow.
Lousy March weather.
Which is a good incentive to stay in, play some video games, not do anything too crazy. And there's a ton to talk about. And for everyone tuning in, if this is your first time, the Creature Cast is a supplemental podcast to Console Creatures. We talk about some of the latest news as well as all of the big games that we're playing. It gives us a chance to do a bit of a deep dive on so many amazing games. Last week, we had a double header. We had a traditional episode, but then we also did a 1 hour long discussion on Resident Evil Requiem. We even include some spoiler talk in there. So if you've been playing Resident Evil and you need some, complimentary content to go along with that, go check it out on the feeds, whether or not it's Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, any of that stuff. We're there for you. This week, we got a banger of an episode. We're going to be talking about Project Helix. New details came out of GDC since it's GDC week. But then we'll also be doing more marathon talk now that, it's officially launched. We're in the review and progress period. And then also some Monster Hunter Stories 3 review impressions as well. So that's going to be a very good episode. But let's just jump right into it. Project Helix. We first heard about this a week or so ago when new CEO of Microsoft Gaming, Asha Sharma, came out and just said, hey, listen, this is the real thing. It's this PC console hybrid. Project Helix is in working development. And obviously she did so because one, we kind of already knew through rumors and reports that this would be the case, but then also going into GDC, Microsoft clearly wanted to talk about it with industry partners, marketing X, Y, or Z, but then came out a pretty compelling Xbox Wire post that went through a ton of what I would say is pretty enticing takeaways. But I just wanted to quickly top level stuff. Like, how are you feeling about what we're seeing with Project Helix? And then we'll kind of go into some of the big noteworthy headlines of this whole news drop.
Yeah. So, I mean, I appreciate it. I appreciate the messaging. It's kind of getting back on track. That's really important for Microsoft.
Yeah.
I don't like that it's bringing out some really stupid comments and opinions and the worst people on both sides of the spectrum, right? Like I'm seeing some really bad Xbox-centric sites just like really picking at scabs, and it's like, you guys got to let it go. It's like this is a new era,
right?
And they're doing a deep dive on the CEO in relation to this announcement, which everyone's kind of been like, well, was announced because Xbox lost its way, and now they're kind of just trying to get back on track. And like, I appreciate all that. It was needed. The announcement itself is great. I don't know if I'm fully on board yet because there's obviously some early specs out. They seem good, but the AI stuff is what's throwing me off, and that's the only thing I'm really asterisked on. Is just like what are we doing now? Is it going to be a fully it's going to be a computer. I mean, but like, how far are we going into this computer ecosystem? That's it, right? I mean, and then there is another announcement we can talk that was announced at the same time yesterday. But like, the main thing with Project Helix, this needed to be done as soon as that she was announced as the CEO. The whole this is an Xbox thing was a colossal failure. I think it ruined the brand, and
It did a lot of damage. Yeah, I agree.
it ruined the brand, and like rightfully so. The person who did it, like Sarah Bond, like she's on her way out because it really did. Like I can tell you right now, I didn't even use my Xbox unless it's for review for like the last couple games I played were like honestly like Forza Horizon 5 just to get acclimated again for May, and before that probably South of Midnight. And like I don't use that often anymore, and it's because like I can just turn on my ROG, I can just stream it from my phone, and it's like why did I need the console? So having this clear messaging that we're getting a new console potentially holiday 2027, I'm all for it because they need that. Like there needs to be a console. I don't care what person is in charge, but that needs to be top of the list because cloud gaming is not a replacement for hardware, period.
I agree. And I think reaffirmment, a recommitment of Xbox in terms of being a hardware. If, Microsoft has found success of having its, PC, Xbox ARM, and then as well as console, that's totally fine. Unifying them into a living room PC, I think obviously with the Steam machine in tow is probably a very compelling thing for them to be on the market, do something different yet again. Whether or not this is all going to shake up to be a success remains to be seen. I quickly, I just want to ask the specs that you were referring to. Was that what you put into the Discord the other day?
Yeah, there was a couple of things I couldn't confirm everything, but what I did put in was, obviously the 32 gigs of RAM.
So that was confirmed false. That's
was confirmed false.
Yeah, okay. That blog post is not. So I saw that and I thought, wow, that's pretty.
That was pretty
compelling.
Good, it made sense to me because we're at like 16 now. I mean, obviously the next generation, I would want to double it.
Yeah,
and that's why I deleted most of it and I said just ignore it. After
no, so no, that's great because for audiences there was this what looked to be a dev blog post that was circulating over the weekend. It was essentially saying like Project Helix will confirm to be having the 32 gigabytes of RAM. If you're playing Xbox games online, you'll need Game Pass, unsurprisingly. But if you're just going on through, web browsing or using any kind of web portal, you won't need any kind of like additional online service other than your internet connection. But I think it was Jez Corden who came out on Monday of this week and just said that's fake. So I'm not saying that 32 gigabytes of RAM won't end up being the included spec, but for right now, it just seems that the way it was presented was not legitimate. But no, it's good to know.
And the problem was because it was on the weekend. When I reached out to Xbox, it's like, well, I don't really think they're gonna check their emails on a Sunday. No. So by the time anything even got back, it was like, well, it was proven false. So it's like, okay, but realistically, I would want a console with 32 gigs. It would basically alleviate all concerns for 90% of the problems with console gaming, right? I mean, but I know it is overkill. To be fair, it is an overkill. But I mean, my laptop has 16 gigabytes. Like it obviously has very few issues, but if you pair that with a hard GPU, like you're probably gonna bottleneck somewhere. But you get that extra boost of RAM and a viable AMD card, like you probably would be able to have a console for 8 to 10 years easily.
Yeah. So let's start going through some of this this Xbox wire post. So essentially from the very top level, Xbox once again recommits itself to just saying, hey, we are doing Project Helix as a console PC hybrid. This is something that has been widely reported in the past. Essentially, this idea that people will be able to run their Xbox console games, and something we'll talk about later is backwards compatibility, but then also Windows PC games. So essentially unifying the two ecosystems, probably going pretty hard on Xbox Play Anywhere and stuff like that. And then, of course, there'll also be support for handhelds, cloud. That stuff will probably go on as well. But alluding to what Bobby just said a moment ago, Project Helix will also be leveraging the next generation custom AMD silicon that has already been properly announced. I think at this point, probably a year ago, or maybe less. But Microsoft has tapped AMD to create its own version, its own chipset to be used in future hardware. And then it will also have new DirectX features, so to dramatically improve simulation, lighting, performances. Um, Xbox has alluded to the fact that it won't just be able to render ray tracing, but also path tracing as well, which will be huge in terms of just realistic lighting and stuff like that, reflections, everything that makes games run so beautifully and sing so beautifully over on PC rather than be bottlenecked on consoles. And then the other thing is that this thing is still going to be years away. Microsoft confirmed that alpha dev kits won't be going out to studios until early 2027. So if we're looking at a realistic timeline, beta dev kits maybe by the summer. And if manufacturing goes well, could be looking at something in the fall. But given the global shortage of RAM, who the hell knows? This can always, I think realistically speaking, we'll probably be looking at late 2027 at the very earliest, and more realistically, 2028. But that's, things can obviously change. We're seeing a huge shift and worry about, where RAM is going to be allocated, whether or not RAM can be manufactured to keep up with demand, and then the pricing of RAM as well, which will obviously impact the cost of this console. And then the other thing that I thought that was very interesting coming out of this Xbox Wire post is that Microsoft has teased Xbox mode for Windows, which is this new console-like Xbox interface, which will be available for all Windows 11 PCs. And once again, it is kind of blurring that line between PC and console, and it's something that they've been building for quite some time, and hopefully really does improve that PC user experience. Because right now, even whether or not I'm on my Windows 11 or on my ROG Xbox Ally, it's just stiff, it's clunky, it's not easy to move around, it's not just plug and play as my Series X is. So, yeah, I'm hoping that we should be hearing more about this Xbox mode sooner than later. I think that the release of this is pretty imminent, which is kind of exciting. I'd like to play around with it and get my hands on it. But Bobby, as you get back here, how are you feeling about this Xbox mode for Windows 11?
I appreciate it for what it is on ROG, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's got issues on ROG for sure. It just compounding Windows 11 and ROG Xbox mode, whatever it is. I'm not here for it yet. I just think it needs at least another 6 to 12 months of cooking.
Yeah, fair.
But
that's fair.
I'm just trying to think, like, I use it pretty often, but I do notice that if you leave it like on the ROG, it will basically like lag the rest of the time. You have to restart it.
Okay.
So that's my problem.
Sure.
But yeah, it just sucks because there's the potential. I honestly do appreciate it. It's just
it's way better than it used to be.
When we got it in that what was it, October?
Yeah.
It was rough. Like, I honestly didn't even use it. And they were updating it every like 4 or 5 hours. Like, every time
yeah.
I would restart it, it would just be like, Xbox has an update, restart, blah, blah, blah. And like by the time it was at like an 80-90% usage rate, I think it was like January for me, that I really was like, oh, okay, I can kind of see what they're doing here. It kind of works. And since then I've been using it. Like, I do like it. It's just, I don't know. I still prefer the dedicated UI. Like, I want that. Like, what do we need? Hybrid everything. Nintendo's hybrid's the only one that kind of works because it's just so simple. And like, when you start adding bells and whistles to something like a UI, it can really break easily.
Yep.
So my problem is like, what's gonna break? Because it can break pretty easily on ROG. It can break pretty easily. I'm testing it on my laptop. It's doing the same thing. So
sure.
I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic about everything Xbox is doing. The UI, I would rather just have something entirely brand new. Like, bring back the blades and then maybe combine it with some of the stuff that the Series X is doing. I do like that. That would probably be my way of doing it because I miss the blades. I don't know how you feel about them. That was probably the best thing they ever did.
I
For
agree.
UI.
I mean, I'm obviously very nostalgic for the blades.
It's the nostalgia.
It is, and I mean, it ran efficiently for what it was.
100%. 100%.
I'm not too against what they have right now, which is like, like the windows kind of blocky.
It's too much like a storefront, and
Yeah.
it's too invasive because I know you get this. You open up your console and it's like
Mhm.
an ad pops up.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I
I'm
don't
not
like that.
paying you for ads. I'm paying
No.
you for the experience. Like I don't want
Mhm.
ads.
Yep.
And if I'm paying what is it, like $23 a month for Game Pass Ultimate or whatever, I don't want ads anywhere. I want just storefront, big UI images of games and like demos and like just things I want to access. Not I don't because ads do nothing for me. I'm not the market for ads. Anytime I see an ad, like my brain turns off and I'm gone until my show's back or whatever I'm doing is back. Advertising will never work on me. So it's just for that, it's just do away with it. It really just aggravates people. And it's just become so invasive in everything we do. Like anything you do now is an ad. And it's like I would appreciate if there was nothing like that on there.
No, I totally agree. Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see because I'm just kind of hopeful that with them bringing it to Windows 11, knowing that this is going to be kind of, the backbone of this new hardware, I just hope that now they can kind of dedicate more time and allocate more resources to, refining it and making it run more efficiently. Because if this is the case, and if Xbox mode is going to be the new UI moving forward,
Yep.
then let's make it work as well as the UI on Xbox consoles, because at its core, it does work really well. I find it easy to navigate, find it easy to switch settings and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that they can find a good balance. But you brought it up earlier, and I think coming out of all this news, coming out of now the handing of the baton over to Asha Sharma, I do have this kind of renewed energy towards Xbox. I mean, obviously, it can all go,
100%.
it can all go under. I have no idea. Like, I have so many questions about how this console will operate, whether or not exclusivity is back on the table, what the pricing of this is all. But I'm at least happy that within 2 weeks, 3 weeks of her stepping into this position, she is talking, and she
She
is
has to.
exactly.
She has no choice. Like
Oh,
her
absolutely.
predators put her in a corner, right? She basically got weaseled into this position, I feel, and now she's got to basically get out of this hole that they dug for her. And it's like I respect someone taking that challenge on, because like that's not something anyone can do.
No.
And I know that there's obviously some stigma behind her previous background with AI, and like rightfully so. I fully believe there is a good case for AI, not in games, but there are good uses for it. I feel like we've just gotten way too far. Like the needle went way over the gauge on this one. But I do believe that AI does have a purpose.
It does, and
it's just the wrong people have taken it in the wrong direction.
My hope is that, given her background, given that, she's in this very powerful role, and given the fact that, now she has the second hand, Matt Booty working very close to her, she can just, understand the limits of what is acceptable for AI within games, and not just go, okay, well, I have this background. Clearly, Satya has, every intention to leverage AI when appropriate. I'm hoping that there's going to be some know-how to just be like, listen, it has no right being in the games. If there's, some sort of way that AI can up-res and, do, frame generation on the this Xbox and on Project Helix and stuff, I'm for that, and video does the exact same thing. So it's like, let's just use it in a practical sense and not have to, like she even said, like, we're not going to do AI slop games and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, let's just commit and stick to that. Like, because I think that would be it for Xbox, honestly,
It
as
would be
far
the
as like,
biggest service to their base, and it would kill the brand. And I don't see slop happening. I mean,
No.
everyone will call it out. Whether whatever side you're on, people will be like, no, this is not what we want. And
Yeah.
I agree. We don't want it. I don't want it. I mean, again, AI has a purpose. I use it, and I use it for things like, meal preps. I do it for calorie counting. I do it for macros and stuff.
Yep.
Things that make my life a little bit easier. And that's what I feel like we should be doing AI for, is just having it as an assistant. And I don't see how it's now pivoted to being a person replacer and job killer. It's just like, no, we're not doing it. Should not be doing it. It should just be making people's jobs easier. I don't and just to I don't know, rant a bit.
Yeah.
AI, honestly, it needs more time. It needs the right people
I agree.
in charge of it. I do see what's that the Claude AI model. Like their model seems to be the most ethical one. And like that's what I kind of want to see, is an ethical version of AI.
Sure.
Giving people the what's the word I'm trying to say? Oh god, guys, the slack on the rope. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
It gives you the slack on a rope of whatever you're doing. So if your job is hard, it gives you that slack to be able to kick your foot off the gas and just kind of let it help you and things like that. And that's what I want it for. But yeah, going back to games, I don't want it all. I don't think Xbox is gonna do it. If they do, I'm fine with it just being like PSSR, where it just basically fills in gaps for graphical stuff, and like that's it. That's all I want.
Yeah, do some up-resing, do some performance enhancement, stuff like that. Stuff that like once the engineers of the hardware have their hands off the console, at that point, if there are AI tools that can help the performance, by all means. But yeah, I don't want some mandate going, coming from Satya and the top brass of like, well, we got to make a Halo, and 20% of it has to be generated by AI and stuff. Like that's not going to fly with the community. I doubt that would fly with a lot of developers too. So
I'm curious to see what happens with GDC this year, because everyone's there. I mean, we were invited. I honestly just said we can't go because I don't feel comfortable flying down there, but like I really wanted to go. I do want to go one year because I feel like it would just be really insightful and knowledgeable, and just a good week of just getting to know the people that make games and why they're doing it and all the tools they need and what they're doing with it. And like that's what I want to know more about. It's just like as much and just going to tie back into what we're talking about, as much as I love this console talk and like we're at that point where we're going to start hearing more about new consoles, I'm always way more invested in hearing how these developers are making their games, what tools they're using, how they're using them, and like what drives them to think of this idea. And like AI can never replace that. AI is just a tool to make our lives easier. There's not a creative pixel size of code that AI can muster that goes toe to toe with a human.
No, I completely agree. And then the other thing I just wanted to say before we can start moving on is that there was like a legislation that was brought in to the US saying that if anything was generated using AI, it can no longer be trademarked. So any Western studio would be stupid to start using AI and implementing it, because you make a suit for Master Chief that's generated with AI, well, that shit can no longer be trademarked. So
100%. And I feel like that's the perfect first step into just finding, whatever you want to call it, the fence that you want to put AI in, whatever capsule container. That's what we need. It's making sure people can't benefit off it monetarily. That's the start, and that's I feel like the way to do it.
No, absolutely. But yeah, we'll be keeping an eye out on more news for Project Helix as the year goes on, and I think we should all be excited, or at least very curious. I don't know if excitement
Not yet.
Is warranted around. Yeah, exactly. Not yet, at least, but at least curiosity. I'm super curious to hear more about it because I have a lot of questions, like I said, and hopefully we get some answers
Yep.
sometime down the road. Um, but with all that said, I do want to jump into some games that we've been playing this week. I will kick things off with a little bit of marathon talk. It's now been, I guess, at this point that we're recording this,
Over a week.
essentially a week since it's
Yep.
come out. Obviously, before launch, they did the server slam, bunch of betas and everything. So I've had some time to process the game, but now that it's actually out, and I
Mhm.
feel myself going through the bounds of progression and building up my character and stuff like that, doing the faction missions. I probably spent about 10-15 hours with Marathon so far. Not dedicating a large amount of time with it, but
Mhm.
uh, I I can't think of a game I've had such a interesting journey with. And I'm specifically talking about the since release. Is that I got in that first night. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm down for any Bungie game. To be totally honest, I've followed Bungie for my entire life at this point, but
Yep.
going in, jumping into, Tau Ceti 4, getting into my first match with all this baked in knowledge and muscle memory of playing arc raiders and kind of having this expectation of I at this point I understand what extraction shooters can be. I have this preconceived notion and going into this. So I was like, okay, well, let's see what Marathon has to offer. I'm there with my shell, the Thief, which has this like sick grappling hook, which is, in my opinion, great for traversal and everything. And I get in there and I'm just playing my little solo match, going through, grabbing, some items, and I have no idea what I'm doing. Like I'm
Mhm.
just kind of like getting the feel for it, getting a feel for the UI, the items, the map itself, and everything. The first map I played on was the perimeter, which is like the easiest map. And then all of a sudden I'm out there, I'm trying to extract, and I get to this extraction point and I'm ready. And another player comes along and we both kind of like give each other the nod and we extract and away we go. And I was like, oh wow, that went really well. Oh my goodness. This was a genuine delight. Getting into the very next one, and I did the exact same thing. I'm trying to get my feet wet. I'm trying to just, understand
Mhm.
the loop of the game, what I'm trying to go for, what I'm trying to keep my eye out on as far as like loot and extract with and
Right.
new guns and everything. And I get to the extraction point, and I already see someone's there, and I was like, oh great, like we're getting out of here alive. Like no robots are taking us down. He turns to me and without a blink of an eye, he shoots me in the face and I'm dead. I was like, oh,
Oh, wow.
okay, that's very aggressive, but good on you. I mean, like, yeah, by all means.
It's part of the game, right? So
That's exactly it, and it was a wake-up call that Marathon is not arc raiders in there is
anymore. Yeah.
no parallel to, passiveness, there's no parallel to this unified community working against the robots, we're all in this together, and there's that what I loved about arc raiders was that or like will they won't they thing of like that next
Yeah.
person that comes around the corner, are they friend, are they enemy? I have no idea. In this one, it is shoot first, ask questions later every single time. There is no round where I see another person in the distance and I'm like, maybe they're friendly. Maybe they
Yeah.
won't shoot me in the back the second that they can, because every single time it has been blood and mayhem. So in that case, like it is way more of a competitive game in that regard. And I think
Mhm.
speaks so highly as far as Marathon's gunplay, because the moment like that first round I got into and I started, using some of the guns and some of the traversal, I was like, oh, this is a Bungie game. Like this feels like Destiny. This feels like old Halo. This feels so good. Like the gunplay Bungie has is like next to nothing. Like
Yeah.
it's so good. And like there are some remarkable highs in Marathon. I love the neo-punk aesthetic. I love the bright
Yeah.
colors. The I love Tau Ceti. I love the different environments in the different maps. There's 3 maps available currently right now. Even the 6 shells that you can play as. I'm playing as the Thief. I love her aesthetic. There are a couple skins that I've unlocked so far. That's just really, really cool. I love, and I mean,
Right.
obviously they've had some controversy in terms of like, plagiarism and art style and everything, but I think
Yeah.
Bungie just has like a really good understanding of art design, and it shows in this game. Um, but then there are some just incredible lows at the same time, and it makes me feel very divisive in terms of how I feel about this, where I feel like the UI is so cumbersome. It's so difficult to kind of understand where you're going in the menus, what you're looking at in terms
Yeah.
of the items that you have in your backpack, the items that you want to bring with you on another run, swapping between, I'm getting ready for a mission and then going into the factions menu and kind of having this pseudo Netflix style screen where you're going through and kind of accepting new faction quests to then
Mhm.
progress and level yourself up and get more upgrades and do all this stuff. Like it's a lot. Like what I liked about Arc Raiders is that it's a very accessible game, especially for someone who doesn't have
Yep.
a ton of experience with extraction shooters. I was able to get into Arc Raiders relatively easy, kind of understand it. Sure, there's like some hurdles similar to Marathon where I'm like, I don't really understand what items I'm supposed to keep, hold on to, salvage for other things,
Yep.
blah, blah, blah. But it's a very easy game to just get into and get to the fun. Marathon, however, I feel like there's so many different roadblocks,
That's
but
what I've heard. That's what
in
I've heard.
pushing through them, there's genuine fun and excitement to play. But I just feel like it right now. There's just like
Yeah.
a great like friction, like a great like a gratingness to it. So like for instance, um, while I think that the gunplay is so good, a lot of the movement just kind of feels cumbersome. Like you don't move as fast as I think I want to. The
Yeah.
slide is just kind of whatever. There's a stamina bar, so you're limited in terms of like your momentum.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, like the grappling hook, there are some times that I'm trying to like grapple up into a window, but my character just doesn't know how to like grab a hold and like mantle over it. So a
Yeah.
lot of the times I just end up falling, and it just kind of feels clunky in that way. And yeah, it's just it's a very competitive game,
That's
when compared to Arc Raiders. So if you're coming in from Arc Raiders
yeah.
and you're like, hey, I really like this PvE focus, everyone's getting together and going after some of these bigger robots. There's really none of that in there. Like, sure, there are, the UNCE enemies that spawn, and if you let them, if you get surrounded by them, they'll take you out immediately. Like they are very difficult, very hard to defeat on your own.
Mhm.
So it would be wise to run with a trio, but yeah, it's just not as passive of a game as Arc Raiders.
That's a big turn off for me. I do like that passiveness of Arc. It is way easier to get into just any match. It's more fun to just get into Arc, and then you're not just dealing with players. Like you have those robots, and there is a little bit of story you can kind of focus on. That is what I'm looking forward to. It's just the things you're saying about Marathon and what I've seen, and what our review has said. It's just like I appreciate what it's trying to do. It's just I don't want that in a game. Like I want story. I want single player missions, and like I appreciate the extraction shooter because
Yeah.
it's obviously super popular. Everyone is playing them, but
Mhm.
why do we need another one? Why do we need another big A like triple A extraction shooter? Like what is it differentiating itself from Tarkov or like you know Arc Raiders
I
or
mean I think it does quite a
Division?
lot to it's funny because it feels a lot less of an extraction shooter and more of extraction shooter light and crucible heavy. Like if you're familiar with
Okay,
Destiny and their PvP, this feels very much like, hey, we're dropping in with three, upwards of, a trio. You have your shells, so it's kind of like I I want to use this loosely, but like a hero shooter where you have, a passive
yeah,
ability and ultimate ability and
yeah, like all
cooldowns
that
on
stuff.
stuff. And it's very cool in that way, but then you do throw in some of that extraction shooter stuff on top of it. So it kind of bridges those two. But it is a very competitive first person shooter, not
Which
so
I'm
much
fine
of
with.
an arena shooter like, Destiny's Crucible.
I'm fine with that, and rightfully, I appreciate it. What it is, I'm gonna play it. I think I I'm interested enough to dive in finally. As much as I want to put it off, everyone's talking about it. Everyone's saying, once it clicks with you, like you don't want to go back. That's all you want to play. And like
Yeah,
I appreciate that, but like at the same time, there's just 1,000 things I
I
have to be
know.
playing at all times. Like it's just my job and your job. It's like to talk and play games, and like how do you balance that? Because like as much as I would like to, I don't have the free time. Like there's stuff to do on the site. There's stuff to record.
Yep.
There's stuff to plan. It's like by the time everything's done, I have like an hour, and it's like, can you really do much in a shooter in an hour? It's like
Not
you're gonna play a
really.
shooter for like 2 or 3 hours.
Yep.
So,
No,
yeah,
totally.
so like it's real life obstacles, and obviously all the stuff that happened in the lead up to launch with the plagiarism, and Bungie's just had a bad taste in my mouth for a while now. So it's
Sure.
like, do I really want to support them? And but at the same time, it's like, well, these people put their heart and soul into this game. So yeah. But what you're saying, I'm invested. Like I think I want to play it. I mean, I do miss playing shooters. Battlefield 6 was my shooter last year. I completely fell in love with that game. I miss having that experience. But like, I'm just thinking, my thing is just the extraction of it all. Like the only thing I never liked about any like Division or
Yeah.
Arc Raiders or God, what was the other one I was playing? God,
Rainbow Six.
Rainbow Six. That was the other one. I don't like that stuff.
No.
And the only time it did work was the first Division, where I was really invested, because like that was fresh, it was new, and nothing was like that at the time. And now it's like, well, I did it once, it was fine. But I do appreciate the aesthetic. I love the gunplay. Obviously, I remember playing obviously that original beta.
Yeah.
And then I did like an hour of the server slam. Like it felt good. But yeah, I mean that's what I want. It's just I want that gunplay with a single player story. Like that's my ultimate dream from Bungie. Like having them just go single player story again. No open world stuff, just like Halo-esque.
Sure. Yeah. Because they do stories so well, and going back to your question of like, what does this do to differentiate itself? Unlike Arc Raiders, where you go into the market and you talk to
I did like
NPCs and everything, I couldn't give a shit what they were saying. I always skipped it. Just give me the next quest. Give me this. Like, a Marathon has some very compelling lore, some story that's being told to you and everything.
Mhm.
I'm not going to sit here to you or to the audience and say that I played much of
Right.
the old Marathon games. I know too much of the lore and everything, but everything that's
Yeah.
being given to you through this game alone, I was like, oh, this is very, like, they put a ton of thought into this, actually wanted to make it something that, you get your story, your little fraction of a story, you get a quest that
Yeah.
is very compelling, is way more robust than what you do in Arc Raiders. You come back, you get more, you're unlocking different faction missions and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I think that there's a really good loop when it comes to that kind of stuff. It's just not at all what. There we go. We're back. We're back.
We're back.
Yeah, there is a compelling loop there when you're doing quests and everything
Yeah.
in Marathon, unlike Arc Raiders, where Arc Raiders is kind of like make your own fun. Here it's very focused in on what they want you to do and what you're able to take away.
Okay. That's more enticing than what I've been seeing online, because like the reviews are very far and few between. There's only starting to come out online now.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were just reviewing progresses, not really focused on that side of Marathon. It's more just the gunplay,
Sure.
UI issues and stuff like that. And it seems like you're saying they've addressed some of this stuff, and like that's great. So I mean, I'm gonna be trying it tonight. I think I have to. I think I owe it to myself to just kind of see what this game is, because like it does look really cool. I do think I love the the aesthetic. I appreciate all that stuff. So yeah, I think I'm finally gonna have to just suck it up and extract
Yeah.
a bit.
And you brought it up, but right now there are a lot of review in progress pieces out there. I think for good reason, because right now we are kind of in the stasis mode, waiting for the cryo archive update that comes out, I believe, on the 20th, which has the new map. From what we're hearing, a lot of it does sound very much like a Destiny raid, which will incorporate
Yeah,
puzzles, and it will be one of the most difficult maps to get into. And I believe also, like, it is something that you strictly will not just be able to jump
yeah,
in freely. You will have to have a loadout that's valued at, like, thousands of dollars. So like right now, it's very much, it
yeah.
feels very much like we're trying to race towards an end game of some sort, where it's like, get the most valuable loot. That way you can participate in the new content when it comes out later this month and everything. It's a cool time for the game. I like that, Bungie has this foresight of, no, we have content on the way. We cannot just drop this game and kind of walk away from it. We
Yep,
can't give
we
you
have to.
the Halo Infinite treatment or anything like that. I mean, Arc Raiders has done similar stuff where it's like, no, we have proper updates coming out each month to keep you from coming back. So a game lives and dies by this kind of stuff. I mean, we just talked about High Guard. Actually, the time we recorded this is the last day
Today's the last. No, today's
of
already shut
High
down.
Guard. So definitely PlayStation does not want another Concord. It does not want a High Guard on its hands. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with Marathon in the next little bit. But
It seems like it's. I mean, so far, like I'm seeing like they're more positive centric reviews. So like that's a good sign.
yep,
High Guard was just out of the gate. It was just like this is not really good.
yeah.
That's what
I
I
feel
mean.
like it was up against a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, there was a lot more to it, right? So
yeah,
you know what? I hope it does well. I mean, I obviously love to Bungie. We all love Bungie in some regard, despite some things they've done. I appreciate them as a studio. Like they are one of the greats. So having them succeed is good for everybody.
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I think that there's still a lot of work to be done. Hopefully that they can they can address some of the UI issues that I have, maybe work on some of the balancing
Yeah,
where it's easier to play solos, because right now, like I said, going up against some of um the AI, it just feels impossible. Um and yeah, I wonder how much work that they can actually do to, maybe make it more accessible to new players, kind of the onboarding process, stuff like that. But
yep,
right now, I'm not disappointed with it. It's certainly just not going to become like my go-to game like Marathon did, where I put in over 100 hours. It was a game, and still is a game, that lives and exists on my home screen on my consoles and everything. And it's a game that
yep.
granted, we have a ton of games to be playing, but it's a game that I go back to a lot. But I don't
Yep.
know if
Rightfully
Marathon's
so.
going to be that. But Bobby, you're also playing a game. You're playing Monster Hunter Stories 3. Why'd you fill me
Yes.
in on that?
Yeah, of course. So I mean, I think this is the perfect game for RPG JRPG sickos
Yeah.
because I mean you get Monster Hunter and you get a JRPG and it is just so tropey in the best way.
Okay.
It trends so the Monster Hunter formula, we all know what it is. Obviously, you have big monsters, you hunt them out, you get bits and pieces of them, and you do armor and swords and stuff like that. And you upgrade, and that formula translates so well into an JRPG when you
Hmm.
add a story that actually makes sense because you've played Wild, you've played World.
Yep.
There's really nothing to them. Like there's not really any story. It's just
It's very loose.
it's loose. But this one here, like you play as the prince of a kingdom. Your name is Leo. You
Okay.
are basically one of the leaders of the riders who are basically they're like the cavalry of the kingdom. And basically the story is, years ago, two Rathalos eggs were discovered in your kingdom, and it's very bizarre because obviously this is very unheard of. Like usually there's just one egg that hatches and
Hmm.
it's one monster, right? But this one had two. So your character gets one of the Rathalos, and the other egg is mysteriously stolen by your mother, and she just like she fucks off, and she's just like, fuck you guys,
Yep.
and that's kind of how the game begins, right? So like, it kind of is basically trying to figure out, you know, there's a bunch of story threads. Like one, like why did she do this? Like why did she abandon the kingdom? Why did she take the egg? And then in the present, you're basically playing as the prince, and you're just going about your day when the kingdom is attacked by another invading country who's basically looking to start a war.
Okay.
because there's tension between your kingdom and their kingdom, and then one day they're just like, well, we're just gonna fuck you up, and that's what they do. And the story is basically you're going from kingdom to kingdom, and you're just trying to, ease tensions with every person you're meeting, and making sure that things are peaceful throughout the realms. And as you're going through the realms, you're just trying to figure out, why this is happening, and it really kind of falls into the story of the Rathalos and stuff like that. And obviously, I'm not
Okay.
going to spoil that, but like the story is actually pretty coherent. It's more about these two dragons and your family line and like that's kind of stuff, and it goes, like I said, kind of tropey, but it works. It's a coherent story. The characters are surprisingly adapt. Like they're smart, they're funny,
Oh,
they're
cool.
fleshed out, and this is all stuff I'm not really used to seeing in Monster Hunter games.
No,
Because
not
they're
at
like
all.
really, it's just like voice acting, and that's it. There's not really any personality outside of the palicos, but
Sure.
your favorites are all there. You got palicos, you've got a bunch of different kinds of them. You've got them cooking you meals. You've got monster hunts in this game. You're basically exploring big open hubs, hunting down monsters. You're invading monster dens to steal their eggs, to hatch them. You're taking those eggs and then you're basically reincorporating them in like a habitation situation. You're having them basically go from extinction to basically being back viable for the environment and stuff. So they're basically in it, they're freely everywhere, and it's a JRPG, so it's very turn-based heavy. I don't know if you're into that, Steve. I know Expeditions is probably your one caveat with that.
Yeah.
It's like a rock paper scissors where instead of doing rock paper scissors, it's speed, technical, and strength. So you kind of have to gauge what the monster is doing. You have to look at the monster and see what kind of what their innate elemental is, what their innate rock paper scissors is, and then kind of
Okay.
guess based on that what move to use. And then if you get it right, it starts breaking down like their shell, their armor, like in the games, right? So how you would target in Monster Hunter, say like their wing, you can do that here, and as you whittle that down, it breaks off the wing. You get the part from that into your inventory after the fight. But
Oh, that's cool.
it's cool. It's a very cool way to translate that gameplay into to this, but it works well. It is very challenging, I will say, and in my review, I struggled the first 15 hours, and that's basically the opening because this game's like easily 80 to 90 hours. And I was ready to just quit because I was getting destroyed by everything. Like I just didn't really understand the system, but I took some time, and like once you realize what this game's asking of you, it's just becomes so much fun. You have basically yourself, your monster. They're called Monsties in this game. They're kind of like Pokemon because you have 6 of them in your party. You can kind of rotate through them based on who you're fighting.
Yeah, that's very Pokemon.
I love that. It's cool. And then you have your partner who is like one of the humans that you meet. So there's Thea. She's just basically like your recruit. She's like you're the leader, so she's basically your new hire. You've got a couple of your friends. You've got the princess of Vermeil. She's a hostage, but she's joined your party as after her mother invaded basically your country, and you basically all taking this adventure through at least 5 or 6 massive areas, whether you're going through a desert, a jungle, mountainous snow area. Like it's really cool. Everything's so beautifully rendered, and it's been a game that I didn't think I'd love as much as I did because, like I said, when I started, I did not like this. I thought it was bad. I personally love Monster Hunter Stories 2. It was really good. It's more of that game, just more finely tuned, more technical than the other games because there's a lot more things you have to pay attention to when you're fighting monsters. Like I said, like their status type, their elemental,
right?
What weapon you're using, because you can pick obviously between 3 different weapons in every battle. So you have like for myself, I had the large sword, I had a samurai sword, and I had like a bow because like I said, you got to be basically paying attention to everything the monster is doing. You have to look at the way it's moving, and if you hit the wrong part on its body, it will basically do a counter and one hit you and your party's dead.
Right. Yeah.
Which is cool because like in Monster Hunter, like you could really easily die in that game. You piss off the wrong monster and it will basically
it's over. Yeah.
Right. So all the systems in Monster Hunter, I didn't know if they could translate all of them because the previous games were pretty good at translating them, but they just didn't really have the juice to kind of stick it out for the entire game. But surprisingly, Monster Hunter Stories 3, like it is just it's nearly perfect in that regard. I appreciate the series so much more because the story just kind of elevates the mechanics, and having as a JRPG player, having a good story paired with gameplay is like basically like hitting, a gold rush. Like you get
Absolutely,
everything you
yeah.
want.
Yeah.
And it's great. Like honestly, I've fought everything I can imagine. Like you find a Diablos, you find a Rathalos, you find these feral monsters who are basically like they're like mini bosses on the map, and you fight them, and those are kind of like the ones. Think of like Elden Ring. So when you're fighting, when you go on the map and you find like a mini boss,
Yep.
that's what these guys are, and like they're so powerful. Like they basically will one shot you, and you're incentivized to just keep going forward. And then with the side quest, you come back later and you're
Oh, I
fighting
see.
them.
Sure.
And then at this certain point, like you get to a point halfway through the game where you're fighting everything, and you're like, yeah, this is not bad. Like I'm doing pretty well. I'm fighting. I'm nothing's challenging me. And then they're like, oh, by the way, now there's invasive monsters because something in the world is causing these monsters to leave their habitats, and now they're coming to your home, and you got to figure out why. And these guys are like the end game bosses. So think of like in Final
neat.
Fantasy, like
Sick.
the ultimate weapons and stuff, right? These guys are basically the biggest monsters in the entire game. They're hidden in the maps because with your ability to have 6 Monsties or whatever you want to call them, I hate that name.
It's a stupid name. I really
It's so
don't like
stupid.
it, but
I know it's stupid.
I'll
but
go
like
along with
once
it.
you have their abilities, because you can swim, you can fly, you can
Yep.
you can jump on the back of like this wolf canine to fly across the map. You use all their abilities to basically find secret like tunnels and
Okay.
camps and like underground areas where these monsters are just basically burrowing and hiding, and they're just biding their time to just basically invade your territory. And I stupid me thought I could take on one in the first area because I was like, yeah, it's the first area. How bad could it be? But every monster you have an encounter with has like a little icon on the top of the head. It's color coded. So like red is obviously the worst. Yellow is it's stronger than you, but you could maybe fight it if you know what you're doing.
Okay.
And that first area, like when I fought this thing, it just basically looked at me and my characters just keeled over and like it was done. And that incentive, it's just that incentive to basically be like, well, I can beat you. It's just I have to keep going. So basically, you're incentivized to mark them on the map and then come back later. And then when you do, you're just giving like limitless stuff to upgrade your weapons because it ties into that Monster Hunter's system of where you're upgrading your armor separately, you're upgrading all your weapons, you're unlocking different kinds of weapons, and all the ones you remember from Monster Hunter mainline, they're all in here. You're unlocking the same armors, same weapons, and you're leveling them up by like level 1, 2, and 3. And the more you level them up, obviously you need more monster bones or skins or shells or whatever. And defeating one of these basically gives you access to some of the best weapons in the game. And like I love that loop. That was kind of what I always appreciate about Monster Hunter proper, right? It's just, fighting some of the end game monsters, getting the best, shells and like bones and stuff.
Being
and
able to, get some like really sick armor and weapons
right?
and
like
stuff.
that's all there. Like it's just so beautifully translated. Like I'm just surprised that it just works so well because the first game was just really uneven. I didn't really like it. It was kind of it was just, I don't know, there was no purpose to it. And then the second kind of improved everything.
Sure.
And now the third one, I feel like Capcom is firing on so many cylinders at this point. Like they've not screwed up
crazy
in the last 7-8 years. This game is incredible. It's obviously not anything I would compare to like Expedition 33, but for a JRPG, I'm surprised just how coherent it is, how much fun it is. The characters are, like I said, really cool. The music's just outstanding, and it's an adult game. Like I'm surprised. Like JRPG are usually focused towards teenagers and living in like that kind of world where between 16 and like 19. But these guys are like fully aware of what they are. Like they're adults, they're dealing with adult situations. There's death you're dealing with, and people you
Mhm.
care about are disappearing, and like monsters are killing your your neighbors, and it's like I appreciate that. Like there's very few games that in this genre that will tackle those kind of things without making it kind of tropey and stupid.
Sure.
But again, it is still tropey because you have palicos in this game, and they're very, very, I don't know what's the word you want to go with the palico. Like they're very, I don't know, they're bubbly, and I just they contrast from everything else because sometimes like you're facing a monster that just killed somebody, and like this
Yeah,
thing's like
yeah.
this cat's making you dinner, and it's like okay, well, okay, I get it, but surprisingly great. I'm surprised that Capcom has just figured out how to make a good Monster Hunter game that's not mainline because I mean a lot of games that spin off from known properties do not go well.
No, not all the time. You
Right?
do
So
run the risk of that, but I'm glad to hear it because, I mean, Monster Hunter Wilds last year, we talked about it on the
it
show.
was
It was
good.
a game I enjoyed it, but I can't think of
It,
another game that I fell off faster than
yeah.
Monster Hunter Wilds, where
It
you
was
hit credits,
yeah.
yeah, and then the game's like, "Now the real game begins," and I was like, "I'm out." That
Yeah,
was
no, like
enough for
that's the kind of
me.
stuff I don't care about. It's
Yeah,
like no guys, but like Worlds was just like this moment for the games industry that just everyone was like, what is Monster Hunter? Like, why is this game here? Like, where's it
right.
been this entire time? And I know this is obviously not the best comparison, but I feel like that's what this game is for at least JRPGs.
Okay.
And I the game's out tomorrow, March 13th. So like
Yep.
I'm just curious to see if people are gonna resonate with it as much as I did. But like I it was something I wasn't like super like invested in from the beginning. Like I know that Capcom was like, hey, we got a code for you, blah blah blah. Like you're happy to try and play it out. But it really sold me. Like I'm surprised how much I ended
That's
up
good.
liking it. I would literally just play it whenever I could. Like like I said earlier in the episode, like we're talking about limited time. Like I would like bring my portal with me wherever I was, and I would try and get like a half hour in a couple
Mm,
battles, get a couple quests done because it was just that good. And
good.
it's that battle system. Once it clicked for me, I was like, this is great because like you really do get rewarded by figuring out how to break their weaknesses and using the right skill, setting a trap for them in battle, using the right weapon to break a horn or
Right.
break a leg. And it's like I love that about Monster Hunter, and to have it in my favorite genre, I love that. So yeah, I mean, I gave it an 8. I think
Nice.
it's probably one of the best games Capcom's put out in the last year, and that's going toe to toe with obviously Resident Evil Requiem. We both gave them an 8 on Calls of Creatures, but I feel like I'm actually liking this game a little bit more, and that's surprising for me because I really did love Requiem. I thought it was the best. I think it might be my second favorite Resident Evil game, but like this is probably my favorite Monster Hunter game by
Nice.
like bar none.
Love that. Love that. Love to hear it. And yeah, I'm curious to see how many people jump on that because right now it just seems like there's a never-ending flow of games, but one
There's a
more
never ending
bad.
flow, 100%. But like honestly, if there is a demo out, I mean, if you guys are curious, please check it
Mhm.
out. It's actually pretty good. Your progress does carry over.
Which is great.
But yeah, like, I appreciate that. But like it's cool. Like it's such a colorful game. Like Capcom's Resident Evil engine is just so versatile. And to my point, like I'm playing it obviously on our we have the LGC2, both of us, and it just looks insane on this monitor on my TV. And it blows my mind that this is the same engine that's running Resident Evil, Requiem, and likely on Emusha, and
Mhm.
every game that Capcom's been putting out the last like 7-8 years. Like it's just crazy how versatile this engine is.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, that about wraps up this episode. Like we said, we talked about Resident Evil. We have a entire episode dedicated to Resident
Yeah.
Evil. I highly recommend people go check that out if you are looking for that. But we'll be back next week with way more about games, about the news. But Bobby, if people wanted to connect with you, connect with the website, where could they do so?
Yeah, look, check me out, B Pashalitis on Blue Sky. No, I'm not TikTok. Instagram, and then you can follow us at Console Creatures on Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Please subscribe to everything. We're
Hmm, hmm.
finally in a good groove with every channel, and any support really goes a long way.
Absolutely. And you can find me across the internet at svigvari. And like we said, if you're finding us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere like that, please subscribe to the feed. Leave us a review because it goes a long way to help grow and expand the show. We really appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next episode. Until then, bye.